You became the strong one so early. You don't even remember when it started. Maybe it was when people stopped asking if you were okay. Because somehow you always looked okay. You were the calm one, the reliable one, the person everyone came to when life got heavy. And after a while, you got so used to carrying everyone else's emotions that you forgot you had your own. What nobody tells you about being the strong one is that it becomes a role. And the worst part, people start loving the role more than the person inside it. You notice it in small ways. You listen to people for hours, but when it's your turn to talk, you suddenly feel guilty. You become good at saying, "Don't worry, I'm fine," even when you haven't felt fine in months. And eventually, you stop reaching out altogether. Not because you don't want support, but because being understood starts to feel impossible. People are comforted by your strength. They don't realize how much pain it takes to maintain it. The strong ones usually aren't strong by nature. Most of them were just people who learned very early that falling apart wasn't safe. Maybe nobody came when they needed comfort. Maybe they were forced to grow up too fast. Maybe they became the emotional support system for everyone around them. So they adapted. They learned how to stay calm during chaos, how to hide emotions quickly, how to smile while mentally shutting down inside. And after years of doing that, their pain became invisible, even to themselves. That's the strange thing about emotional exhaustion. It doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like replying, haha, to messages, when you don't even have energy to think. Sometimes it looks like disappearing for a few days, because social interaction feels heavy. Sometimes it's lying in bed at night, feeling emotionally numb, while your mind keeps replaying everything you never said out loud. The strong one often becomes emotionally homeless, needed by everyone, understood by no one. And people misunderstand this. They think strong people don't need reassurance, don't need softness, don't need care. But strong people remember small acts of kindness more than anyone, because they spend most of their lives surviving without them. There's also another side to this nobody talks about. Being the strong one slowly teaches you to suppress your emotional needs. You become uncomfortable asking for help, uncomfortable depending on people, uncomfortable being vulnerable. Not because you don't feel deeply, but because somewhere along the way, you learned that your emotions were too much. So now you handle everything alone, even the things that are quietly destroying you. And over time, you start separating yourself from people emotionally. Not intentionally. You just get tired. Tired of explaining yourself. Tired of always being the listener. Tired of being emotionally available for people who disappear when you need the same energy back. So you become quieter. Harder to reach. Not cold. Just careful. Sometimes the strong one isn't silent because they're okay. They're silent because they know nobody notices the difference anymore. And that realization changes a person. It makes them hesitate before opening up. It makes them emotionally independent in unhealthy ways. It teaches them to carry pain privately, even when it becomes unbearable. But maybe the saddest part is that strong people often envy emotionally expressive people. The people who cry openly, who ask for help easily, who allow themselves to fall apart in front of others. Because the strong one has spent so long holding everything together that they forgot what it feels like to simply be held. So if you've been feeling emotionally distant lately, constantly tired, quiet for no reason, this might be why. Maybe you were never emotionless. Maybe you were just exhausted from being emotionally strong for too long. And eventually, even the strongest people get tired of carrying invisible weight alone, especially when nobody ever notices they're carrying it at